Today we're going to be going over a matchup this weekend between Michigan and Wisconsin. Now, first off, I'm gonna make this video a little bit shorter than normal. I know these episodes have been about 20 to 30 minutes long, and nobody's got time to sit around and watch 30 minutes of somebody talking about football, especially just one game. So I'm gonna try to make this a little bit shorter today. So yeah, let's get into it. First off, we're gonna go over the lineup on both sides, star players. Okay, start off with Michigan. You got the quarterback Shea Patterson. You know, he's been there for a couple of years, and he's kind of been the talk of the town around college football. Everybody expects him to be, a really great quarterback, but he just hasn't lived up to that potential, as of yet. But so far this year, he's went 35 of 58 for 410 yards, 3 touchdowns. Hasn't thrown a pick yet. He's been sacked 6 times. And he had 17 rushes for about 10 yards. So he's not really, too dangerous, for in rushing wise, anyways. And on Wisconsin side of the ball, their quarterback, he's a new starter, Jake Cohn. He's of the season, he's 45 of 59 for 564 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions as well. He's been sacked 4 times on the year. He has 9 rushes for negative 14 yards, so it's safe to say you don't have to worry about either quarterback on each side running the ball too much. I mean, they might break away for one run here and there, just a scramble, but as of design quarterback runs, neither one of them are too impressive in that category. We'll move on to the running backs now. For Michigan, they got Zach Charbonnet. He's got 41 carries and 190 yards on the year for 4.6 yards per carry. He's got 3 rushing touchdowns as well. So he's doing pretty good. But the Wisconsin running back, Jonathan Taylor. Now this man, he's it's a complete package as a running back. He's got 35 carries for 237 yards, 6.8 yards per carry. He's got 5 touchdowns already this year through 2 games. He's a stud, man. He's a complete package, like I said. He's probably the most prolific back in all of the country right now. I mean, he also has 5 catches for like 65 yards and 3 touchdowns receiving. So he's got a total of 8 touchdowns through 2 games. So that's pretty good. We'll go to the wide receivers now. For Michigan, you got Tariq Black. He's got 7 catches for 104 yards and a touchdown. And on Wisconsin side of the ball, you got Quintez Cephas. He's got 9 catches, 169 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So both of them are pretty good receiving threats. They're both the leading receivers on each of their respective teams. And now we'll move on to the kickers. For Michigan, you got Jake Moody. He's 2 of 2 of PATs, and he's 3 of 3 of field goals. So he's 100% right now for 11 points. And for Wisconsin, the kicker is Colin Larsh. He's 15 of 15 on PATs, but he's only 1 of 3 on field goals. He's missed 1 over 50 yards and 1 over 30. So the one he made was I think 27 or something like that. It was inside of 20. It was inside of 30 yards, but he's got a total of 18 points on the year so far. So I'm leaning towards Michigan's kicker in that battle. Look at the defenses real quick. You got Michigan's defense. They have 4 sacks already this year, 2 interceptions, and they have 1 forced fumble. They allowed 272 yards per game so far, 138 of that being pass yardage and 133.5 being rush yards per game. So, I mean, they haven't really gave up too much, but they haven't played really any good teams yet. I mean, they played some scrubs, to be honest. And same goes for Wisconsin's defense. I mean, according to stats, they're the #1 ranked scoring defense in the country. They have 5 sacks, 3 interceptions, and 4 forced fumbles. So they're playing pretty good. They allowed 107.5 yards per game, which is not very much. That's great. But like I said, they played against lesser teams as well. 87 of that being pass yards per game, and I think 20.5 being rush yards per game. So they're both doing pretty good. Let's see here. We got Okay, yeah, and also Michigan's defense allowed 21 points per game so far, and here's the big one: Wisconsin's defense has allowed 0 points per game. Big old goose egg. And I know they're not playing good teams, but to hold somebody to 0 points, that's pretty great, you know. So now we'll shift from the defense to the offenses of each team. Michigan's offense, they scored 32 points per game, with about 396 yards a game. 226 pass yards per game, and for the rush yards, they've had about 170.5 yards per game. They've also had 8 fumbles through 2 games, so that's a big one right there. They've had 8 fumbles, and they've lost 5 of them. So they've got to protect the ball a lot better going into this weekend. On Wisconsin's offense, they scored 55 points per game. For 517 yards per game, 300.5 being pass yards, and 216.5 being rush yards per game. And we'll get into their record before I get into our prediction. Right now, Michigan is 2-0. They had a bye week this past week. Week 1 they played Middle Tennessee State University, and they ended up winning that 40-21. And then week 2 they played Army, and that was a struggle win against Army. They arguably could have lost that game, and they should have lost that game, but they ended up winning 24-21 in second overtime after Army fumbled the ball because for some reason Army decided it'd be a good idea to throw the ball in overtime when all they do is run the triple option. So that was just pretty much Army's play calling cost them that game. And a couple different times. One time they were down on Michigan's side of the field, inside their 20-yard line, I think inside their 15, maybe 10, and they just decided to throw the ball on like 3rd and goal or 3rd and 10 or whatever it may have been, and threw a pick. So that cost them the game because they could have went up 14 or 21-7, I think at that point, instead of being up 14-7. So then after that, Michigan drives down the field and ties it up, and now you're in a fight. But they could have easily put that game away right there, or at least it would have been a lot harder for Michigan to come back. But let me jump over to Wisconsin's record. They're second in the Big Ten West right now, and forgot to say Michigan's second in the Big Ten East right now, behind Ohio State, obviously. And Wisconsin's 2-0 as well. The first week they played University of South Florida, which the offensive coordinator for there was my old head coach, Coach Kerwin Bell, who played at Florida, coach at Ohio State. So he's not off to a great start as their offensive coordinator, but they also played Wisconsin, so it's a pretty big task, playing against a Power 5 team like that with a great defense. We'll give them a pass on that, but they ended up beating South Florida 49-0, and a lot of people kind of figured that was going to happen, but they did what they needed to do. And then, like last week, they played Central Michigan, and they ended up beating them 61-0. And Central Michigan is a pretty good team. They have some pretty good players come out of there into the NFL, so just because they're not a Power 5 team doesn't mean they're not, they're not game. They're ready to go. They just got blew out 61-0. So yeah, I'm get into the prediction and preview. Here we go. Wisconsin, like I said, is a 3.5-point favorite over Michigan this weekend. It's a top 15 matchup. Wisconsin's playing pretty good so far. They played, like I said, 2 cupcake teams. But hey, they did what they needed to do in those games. Didn't leave any doubt. On the other side, like Michigan, they just seem can't get anything going on offense. Man, they've been back-to-back losses, blowouts last year. Ending the season against Florida, getting blew out, and then before that playing Ohio State and getting blew out there. And the first week of this season, they looked like they were going to get back on track. Their defense gave up 21 to Middle Tennessee, but everybody thought, okay, maybe they get it together this year, have some offense, and just hasn't seemed to be the case against Army. They just couldn't do anything. Like I said, they had a struggle win against Army, and they really, like I said, should have lost that game. A couple play calls here and there, bad play calls for Army, just kind of cost Army that game. But and where most analysts have honestly thought this would be the year where Michigan could get over that hump that is Ohio State. But the way that they're playing so far and the way Ohio State looks right now under Ryan Day, there's a little too promising for the Wolverines. I'll just say that. in this game, the Wolverines can afford, or they can afford. Look, like I said, they've had a couple no interceptions, and they had 8 fumbles through 2 games, and the fumbles are a big thing for Michigan, and they cannot afford as many turnovers as they've had the last 2 games against a team like Wisconsin. I mean, like the fumbles, the pre-snap penalties, and all the big plays that they've missed on, they got to be corrected for them to even stand a chance. Yeah, they had a bye week this past weekend, so maybe they can get it together. I guess we'll have to find out Saturday and see if they can show us something. Because as of right now, I'm not too impressed with Michigan as a whole. On top of that, I mean, they're playing Wisconsin defense. Like I said, that has been playing with their hair on fire. They haven't even surrendered a single point so far this season. And I mean, and look at it. When Wisconsin has the ball, they're going to look to establish the run game behind that powerful O-line they have over there, and along with their All-American running back and Jonathan Taylor. Oh man, he's a beast, I'll tell you. But they're gonna look after they get the run game going. They're gonna try to complement that with their QB, and he's no slouch. I mean, he's playing pretty decent, through these couple games. I think he got the highest, or the second highest QBR in the country, or in the Big Ten as a whole. He has the second highest QBR, and they got some pretty good quarterbacks in that conference. But you got Justin Fields. I'm assuming Justin Fields is probably number 1. But yeah, I mean, hey, in my opinion, this could be the most difficult task for the front 7 of Michigan to face all season. I mean, they play some pretty decent teams the rest of the way, but as a front 7, going against Wisconsin's offensive line and that great running back they got, it's going to be a task. But I'm expecting Michigan to have its first loss on the season. I think Wisconsin wins it. But, I mean, I think Wisconsin's going to show up. And I think Michigan's going to try to show up, but once they get hit in the mouth a couple times, they're kind of just going to surrender, in my opinion, because they've never showed in the past couple of years under Jim Harbaugh that they can play in the big games against the good teams. I mean, you might see them win 1 or 2 games here and there, but they can't ever beat the Ohio States of the world. They couldn't beat Florida. I mean, there's a couple of teams that they just have failed to get past under Jim Harbaugh. I guess he just can't get them motivated enough. All those buzz about Jim Harbaugh, about the quarterback play, and he really hasn't had good quarterback play since he's been there. They just can't seem to get anything going on offense or defense. Last year had good athletes and good players, but their offense just couldn't help them out any. So it's looking like that's going to be the case again this year. So yeah, I'm going with Wisconsin 27-20. Good hard fought game, but like I said, Wisconsin's going to hit in the mouth and they're not going to slow down. So yeah, if you like this video, please subscribe and comment down below what your predictions are for the Michigan-Wisconsin game. Top 15 showdown. It's on Fox at noon this Saturday. So yeah, go check it out. And I appreciate it. Later, Nerdy Nation.